I don't remember where the cards are. Andy, where are our cards? Where are the playing cards?
Playing cards?
Cards!
I'm thinking.
Should I sit down at the computer?
Yes, please.
I've already lost. Oh, maybe not. See, you're making me nervous. It's a high stakes game and you're just screwing me up terribly. All right, what solitaire does is clear the mind. It's nonverbal. It's just a way to clear thoughts. But now that you've got me started, I guess I've got to continue, right? So in 1968, Ann Arbor was segregated, and there was a colored section of town. In pressuring city council, there was a sit-in, and we were arrested. We had to go before Judge Francis O'Brien, whose sentence was 5 days in jail or $25 fine. And I said, okay, 5 days in jail. Part of the motivation may have been getting away from 5 little kids, maybe.
When I came to Ann Arbor, I heard about this person, Ruth Zweifler. She was already a legend.
Ruth Zweifler is one of my heroes. Ruth is a tough, smart, kind, and generous human being.
She's fierce and fearless, the ultimate advocate.
One who was committed to a cause, a real crusader for justice.
Ruth was constantly like fighting for my rights.
She notices need and she acts on it.
She's been tremendously influential on the education scene locally and statewide. She's been a treasure.
That's who she is, and she's great.
Thursday writing group is a really important time for me, and mostly I write very short things. And this, because, you know, we haven't really talked about kids, which is my passion. Now, children are the hearts we wear outside our bodies, and no ribcage guards. During the tumultuous 60s, there was a lot of concern on the part of many people about how poor and black children were being treated.
Community members of the NAACP were starting to gather in 1974 just out of concern about how particularly African American students were faring in their local schools. They were concerned about disproportionate discipline, about achievement issues, and just in treatment, honestly, equity issues.
We were underestimated as African Americans, as black people, black kids. I can remember being in class, raising my hand. I can't recall one time that the teacher chose me to answer the question.
My parents and Ruth worked together to form the Student Advocacy Center. She had this great idea about studying the reasons why black students weren't achieving, the education gap, the disparate expulsions and suspensions, and the challenge for the Student Advocacy Center has always been, how do we get these children back in school? And if we can't get them back in school, how do we get them educated?
Education requires a lot of more elements than a book and paper. Everybody don't learn the same.
People tend to think that when kids get in trouble in schools, the kids are always wrong and teachers and administrators are always right.
One of the things I've seen from the Student Advocacy Center is that they help amplify the parent and the student's voice.
Not to speak instead of, but to assure that their voice will be heard.
To ensure that student rights are protected.
We were part of a lawsuit that's still known as the Black English case.
25 years ago, Dwayne, Asheen, and Kehili were students at this school. When they spoke, as they did at home, in African American English, their teachers simply assumed they couldn't do schoolwork. Ruth became convinced that the kids were being discriminated against because of their African American English.
Language is the marker for assumed attitudes, coming with an implied criticism, which is what I think a black child carries with him. We as
adults, as mainstream society, as Americans, have really done bad by these little kids.
Hi, Ruth.
Hey.
How are you?
How good to see you.
Good.
Unable to make any headway with the school administrators, Ruth went to Detroit. The legal strategy they and others thrashed out led to a landmark court decision on black English.
You had a federal judge acknowledge formally that the school district was really insensitive to the linguistic background of the vast majority of African American students within the school district.
Next thing you know, Ruth Zweifler is literally driving all over the state, helping students.
You know, in the beginning, we were certainly looked at as antagonists.
We were a little fearful because her reputation was out there that she takes no prisoners.
There was always that feeling of Ruth is watching.
She's willing to stand up, even if that means it might not be popular or someone might be angry with her. That didn't matter. What mattered is the student being heard and getting what they need. You wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of Ruth Zweifler, I don't think.
Does he talk too fast? We're all invasive species. Because I'm bored. I need a job. So arrogant. Right now it's very hard to have faith in humans. The local paper is published twice a week. Pretty terrible. It's just so stupid. Used to go to school meetings, and the one memorable comment was from somebody with, "Well, you're not quite as bad as they thought you were." And okay, another one. They're all political. The meaning of it all: justice for all, freedom for all of us, and all of them. You know, there's progress if you're lucky, but for too many children, they're still ignored.
We have some of the harshest school discipline laws in the country. So we would mandate expulsion for more reasons than anyone else. We would allow it for more reasons. So this is just a poster to commemorate the passage of the Rethink Discipline Laws, which Ruth started working on herself. The law just changed and went into effect August 1st, 2017, that ended zero tolerance in Michigan schools and required every school district to consider 7 factors before they even suspend.
What I see in the Student Advocacy Center is a wealth of expertise, of people who are right there with the student and their family.
Were it not for the Student Advocacy Center, just a ton of kids would have been lost by the system because they had no one really to stand up for them, to advocate for them.
It's dramatic when you have a student who's out of school for, say, 2 years. They were expelled, and then you get them back in, and they're able to graduate.
It makes me feel wonderful. I love that it's really established. Peri has really guided it into a real presence. It's grown.
We've been able to expand the number of volunteer advocates, so we also have a broader reach of folks where we actually have advocates that can go to meetings. So that started with her vision of, we can't just help people in Ann Arbor, this is going on all over, and how do we do that?
At one point I spoke in a meeting. We go to Quaker meeting, and I said I live with an angel. I did, and that she.
I didn't hear.
She's in. Anyway.
Ruth changed my life by believing in me, by challenging me to stand up for what's right.
She always stood on the side of what's right and what's good for young folks.
I love seeing her leadership because it says that women can have their ways of leading and be tremendously successful.
And I think if anything I learned from Ruth, it's keep fighting. You're in charge of making the world you want to see. And if you see something going wrong, you got to fix it.
And I just think that she's been one of the greatest activists for social justice in our area in terms of trying to save our young folks. It's going to be hard to emulate her.
Ruth has just been such a good friend to me and a mentor to me and an encourager over the years, and so I'm just so grateful for her. She means a lot to me, and I don't think she'll ever know how much she means to me. Sorry, I didn't want that to happen. I love her.
She has been such a major influence on me that I would not have had the life that I did without her. I learned a lot from her. There's a lot of stuff that I don't think I ever would have gotten into or done without her. So.
I don't know how, I don't know. I mean, I think children are the hope, and being careful and respectful of all children and listening to what they're saying, not how they're saying it, I think is very important. I hope, to see a better world, huh?